I would now like to share a few words about our distinguished guest of honor, Dr. Geetha Manjunath. Dr. Geetha Manjunath heads the data analytics research at the Xerox Research Center, India, which creates innovative solutions in healthcare, transportation, and customer care. Dr. Geetha has about 25 years of research expertise in IT industry and has proposed and led multiple research projects in data analytics, crowdsourcing, cloud computing, semantic web, mobile, and distributed computing. Her research in the above areas has resulted in innovative prototypes, patents, publications, and new products. Before joining Xerox at Hewlett-Packard Labs India for 17 years and at IIIT-Bangalore, she is a gold medalist from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, where she holds a master's degree and PhD from Computer Science and Automation Department. She was awarded the NASSCOM IT Innovator Award in 2009 and was also the winner of the 2010 Grand Challenges for Technologies posed by MIT Technology Review under Healthcare category. She is the author of the book on cloud technologies titled Moving to the Cloud, which is used as an engineering college textbook. She is the chair of the Big Data Working Group and member of the governing body of CCICI, which is Cloud Computing Innovation Council for India. She holds 9 US patents with 30 more pending grant. May I now request Mrs. Geetha Manjunath to share a few thoughts with us.
Thank you. Before Geetha starts, our first name is international. We have some program of international you will get to see. We have 4 teachers from Myanmar will be performing a dance. Our last name is technology, and my colleague Professor Sridhar wants to formally launch the website. I think you can, yes. That's good. Thank you.
It's a privilege to be here, to be part of this wonderful event. And I'm very thankful to Professor Sadgopan sir and the student committee for inviting me to be part of this 17th Founders Day. And it's nice that you actually have the Founders Day on the Engineers Day, right? As many of you probably know, today is the birthday of Professor Sir M. Vishwesvaraya, sir, who has done a lot for not only Karnataka, but whole of India. He is the founder of the engineering, or they're saying, I think they have a title called Father of Technological India. He's the one who started off seeing and thinking about how India can be changed with technology. And all these Band and all that you heard last week, probably he was the root cause. He built the KRS Dam. Yeah, actually he's done a lot of service to our country. Over 24 cities and towns and villages surrounding it. He thought about how water can be provided, supplied, drinking, and farmers, and so on and so forth. He has designed and built many, many bridges for India. So many of you are already engineers. Some of you are on the path. So let us celebrate this as an Engineers Day as well, and be part of this proud family of engineers. And then try to take at least Mickey Mouse steps towards using technology to change the world and help India. When I was speaking to Professor on what is that we should be talking to all of you about, he said talk about your life types, or technology. So I thought I'll spend a few minutes talking about technology and technological innovation, or some new research that I've been doing over the last 25 years of my career. And it's like a story, you may get bored, but I'll try to sort of see if you can get something out of it at every step. I did my bachelor's from University Vishwesvaraya College of Engineering, so it happened to be Vishwesvaraya again there. Yeah, it was a smooth, the first computer science for CET batch, for those of you who are from Karnataka, like, you know, that's long ago. And then I did my project at IISc, and I said, okay, it'll be so nice to be actually coming back here and working here. IIIT was not there at that time. Probably I would have aimed to do that time. And then got into masters, and it was a grilling, just like many of you are going through, the grilling times, right? Lot of projects, you know, busy weekends, sleepless nights, and all this, right, is absolutely needed. Absolutely needed, because that is when it squeezes you and brings the juice out of you, if you will, right? That is what makes you sort of a mature individual. When you actually challenge yourself, give the best to all the things that you're doing. It could be assignments, could be courses, could be anything. Do it with passion, do it like with full heart. You will feel like sometimes stretched, stressed and all of it. But if you look back after, let's say, 25 years like me, and say, okay, those 1.5 years was really worth it, right? Those 2 years at IIIT was really worth it, because that's what changed your life. So anyway, that happened. And then moved on to join CDAC, which was the first, let's say, computer science research organization, Center for Development of Advanced Computing, which was funded by center government. So I was a proud member of the team which delivered the first supercomputer from India. Here again, there were several problems, which in the beginning, it sounded as if, it's not easy to solve it. I cannot do it. The first thing you should do is, like many people say, sorry to be advising, you can do it, right? So just see, why can't I do it? What are the issues? Break it down into smaller pieces and then try to find a naive solution for it, and then say, okay, this naive solution is slower and so on, how can I make it faster, and so on and so forth. So trying to accomplish something that is impossible. For example, we started off with a parallelizing compiler at that time, which was not known and so on. First time you may see it is not possible to do it, but breaking it down to sub-problems which are solvable, which have a naive solution, and questioning the naive solution and say, can we do it differently? Identifying what you felt was challenging and then trying to find an alternate way of circumventing it to come up with the end solution many times results in an innovative solution. Don't always take a very easy path right now. So it's very easy to do a simple, let's say, a project or something, which would be a completely new application, but maybe you're not challenging enough in the technological domain. What is hard? Am I solving sufficiently challenging problems? Is there a different way of doing this? Is there a better way of doing this? This is a question you can continuously ask yourself. Whatever is the project, whatever is the subtask, whatever is the problem that you're trying to solve, it helps you get to newer solutions. Anyway, so after sort of building and learning a lot of things in distributed computing, trying to, like I said, be part of this first supercomputer from India. We actually did a parallelizing compiler, the first of its kind, again from India, and we collaborated with a US. We actually proved that a compiler was better than a US company then called Apogee compilers, and then they said, okay, can we collaborate? And so it was, even now, this compiler is being sold. So it's kind of a sense of accomplishment when you try to solve an seemingly unsolvable problem and then move on. Then we had Hewlett-Packard, which was starting a new lab, and then they were looking for some people to get seeded. There was a small concept. At that time, web was actually coming in 1997 or something, only few browsers, Netscape and so on. And then there was this concept called, we came up with this called hee-haw. Why should only web pages be there? Can web pages be live? Hee-haw stands for, hey, everything has a web page. That means every device and everything has a web page. And this is coming back after 20 years, and this is what is called as IoT today, right? So then it was very fun. We started looking at different applications of what happens when these devices get web enabled. How do we send new features into it? Through web. So, the system software for it, it has to be an embedded device, so we actually built an embedded system, and all of those things had to be learned. Here again, the first thing that when you start off a problem, it seems complex. If you feel that you're writing down a problem and it's like you can solve it in like a month or so, just try to see, is there something, that's already existing out there? Can I do something different? If something else is there, can I build on it, right? So think about some newer stuff that you can do using the existing technology, build over it, right? It's like you can directly go to the 10th floor instead of staying at the foundation. Look at different building blocks that are already available. So we did this new embedded system software, which was used in different applications. In fact, one of the simple applications we did with HP Labs in US was to deploy it in Disney. And they called it Cool Town, which was a town which is now called Smart Cities. Right? So it's a town full of web-enabled devices and so on. So that was all nice. And then, like Professor was saying, I didn't have a PhD till then. And my professor was saying, it's been, you did well in masters, you have to come back and then do your PhD and so on. So after 17 years of my industrial career, thankfully in research, I went back to IISc and completed my PhD. And that's where, the professor was saying about, what did you say, sir? Permanently head damaged. So I realized that I was temporarily head damaged, so I converted myself into permanent one. And it was nice. I was sitting with young kids like you, because I have to take some courses and all. I had to write exams after that. It was fun. But the first thing, and one thing that I think many of you also will enjoy, is about learning new thing every day. As long as you're learning something new every day, even today I'm learning, so many things, with the conversation I had with the professors and the others on the dais today, just before we came here. There's so much to know, there's so much of knowledge that one person cannot accumulate in one life, right? So there's so much. So every day keep looking for new things to learn. And then, okay, so I did my PhD, and maybe it will be interesting for you to understand some of the driving forces for some of these innovation that was accomplished, not just by myself, but by my team. So one of the main things is not just to do something new, but do something new and try to help society with it. So at that time, for example, web again was available, but lots of websites and so on, but it's not available on dumb phones. And in India, 85% of the phones at the time were dumb phones. So we said, can we make web these Nokia 1100 kind of phones? How can you have huge web pages come on the small phones? So we said, okay, so maybe why do people use the web? Maybe they accomplish some tasks, the email and all that was very simple. Maybe they accomplish some small tasks. And if we are able to trigger those tasks from an SMS or a voice call, and then they will be benefiting from the different websites and web services that is out there. What these tasks should be was a question. And it turned out that different people want to do different things, right? Among you, if I ask which website you use most, apart from Facebook, Twitter, and all of these sort of popular ones, there will be many other things that one may want to do. One may want to go from Gwalior to Delhi every day. So, there is another website, Jet Airways, or something that professor wants to use, and things like that, right? So we said, can we come up with a new way of creating a web task which does not require computer programming to do so? So we came up with a platform called Tasklets, which enabled people to create web tasks by just browsing. Just by browsing the web, one could actually create these tasks, host them in the cloud, and then create applications which can trigger them for any mobile phone, including SMS and voice. So it would automatically, you could just go to the browser, choose a website, click record button, and then do the action. And at the end, out would come a tasklet for your mobile app, mobile device, SMS interface, and voice interface. This was a very interesting thing because at that time, I was also at HP, and HP thought it could be used on printers. So on printers, HP's tagline was, people want to print what they want to print, not what HP wants them to print. So these printers used to have this tablet kind of a device, and they used to be these widgets. And with this technology, one could basically create a task and push it into the printer, and then as soon as you print that button, that web page was accessed, and whatever, that print page was printed. So there was this end use of business usage of this technology. We also worked with healthcare, the ASHA workers, to actually make it simple to look at and track, monitor malaria patients, monitor pregnant women and children in rural India, so that their daily health status, weekly health status, could be easily available to the primary doctor. As you know, in India, doctors are not, able to reach every family very easily. There's one doctor who is serving 1,000 families. So if there are pregnant women and children, how does one monitor their health? And the way it was, like, people used to fill forms. There were these ASHA workers who would go to individual houses. They used to fill forms, and by the time these forms go to the central primary healthcare center, it used to take 3 months. And by then, what critical care can be provided. So we enabled these tasklets to work there, and it was a very heartening experience to actually see technology in action. Going on, at Xerox in the last 3 years, we've been looking at real problems that can solve real lifestyle issues, starting from transportation. How can we do better scheduling of buses so that people don't wait in bus stops? How can we combine the different modalities of transportation that's available, be it buses, trains, metro, taxis, olas, and self-driven cars, and also ride-shared self-driven carpooling, in order to ease a situation of going from A to B. In fact, we released a new app called Go Bengaluru. I encourage you all to download it, which is free, available on Android and iPhone, which can help you, give you the fastest, cheapest, or greenest way of moving from one place to another. Another thing that we looked at was healthcare, where we looked at how can we use data analytics and predictive analytics for identifying a complication of a patient that's coming, let's say, next day. Can we predict death of a patient in an ICU much earlier? And the reason you're doing it is to save the patient, call the doctor and then, save the patient. So big data has been my recent passion. And then I don't think I need to mention about the different benefits of big data analytics, and we saw it working in healthcare, we saw it working in transportation. And the recent project that I am working on is basically on cancer screening. How can we use image analytics, machine learning, predictive machine learning analytics on thermal images so that we can detect early stage breast cancer in women. And this technique, which we call as thermalytics, is very different from mammography, where mammography is extremely painful for women. It doesn't work for younger women, and it's expensive. It's a huge machine and all that. This thermal imaging is just about using a camera kind of a technology. It's an infrared camera at a distance to actually detect cancer in women. We hope to take it to the masses and screen lots of women and hopefully save them from eventuality. So I'm just giving you some examples of what research and technology can do to real life. Of course, there are many, many bigger people who have done even better things. But it's just an example of what I myself have seen it, and I'll be glad to work with any of you if you're interested in taking your ideas or technical algorithms that you've developed and then trying to look for real problems where this can solve and so on. I know Professor is very much supportive of entrepreneurship and making a difference in life. And that, I think, should be the goal of a researcher. If there is a bigger intent that is driving research, or driving innovation, then you will find a way to reach the goal. You'll find a novel way. You'll actually find ways to circumvent the hurdles and reach the goal. Whatever you're doing, do it with passion. Put your full energy into it, full passion into it, and it will definitely lead to good results and end results. I congratulate you on this day again, and thank you for listening to my boring story. And feel free to reach out to me if there is anything that I can do in helping you all become better engineers. Thank you very much.